camera's not here. Do you want him to jump or anything?
No, you can start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we start, the last time that I saw you, it was 5 years ago. You had a press session in the old office.
5 years ago?
Yeah, because I looked up this. I remember that you had a interview press session.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I tried to
Good
remember
memory, yeah.
how far
Yeah,
away,
yeah.
how long ago. So yeah, I found the story from 2012. So
Yeah,
that's 6
yeah.
years ago.
Well, let's jump in.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So first question. I guess the big news this week. All my questions will be mainly China focused.
No problem.
It's a big market.
Please, yeah.
This week China announced it would end the rules for joint venture ownership for foreign automakers. What's your take on this? What are your thoughts?
No, I think it's a great news. By the way, there were already some rumors, but this time it's official and we have a time frame. This is going to be very interesting because, as you know, so far all car makers had the obligation to have a partner. Now you're going to see the difference between partners that you want and partners which were imposed on you. I think in our case, the partners we have today, whatever we're talking about, Nissan or Renault or Mitsubishi, are good partners. We are working very well with them. So I don't think it's going to change anything about that. This being said, a lot of innovations are coming in China. You know, we're talking about electric cars, we're talking about other new energy cars, we're talking about mobility services, we're talking about new technology, robo-taxi, autonomous cars. And every time there is a new opportunity, we're going to consider, should we go with a partner? What are the advantages? Or should we go by ourselves? And this is a new freedom for car makers, which is welcome.
Mm-hmm. So for the moment, I mean, you're happy to continue with your partnerships as they are?
Yeah, I'm happy to continue as long as obviously we perform better together than each one on his side. And I suppose for them it is the same thing.
Right.
That means they are happy to be with us because they perform better with us than without us. As long as we maintain this obligation of performance and we are happy that together we perform better, we're going to continue. But now the big difference is if you think it's not the case, then you can split. Well, before you were not able to do it. In our case, we're happy, we want to continue, and in a certain way it will force us to demonstrate that together we are more performant than if we were alone.
Right. Would there be any advantage to going off on your own?
Well, in some cases, yes. In some cases, no. Every company has to weigh in, what are the advantage and the inconvenience. In our case, I mean, we're talking about 5 years down the road. In most of the cases, you have plenty of time to plan, discuss, exchange, and then make a decision. But anyway, it's a good news.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So moving on, I guess one of the other big topics in China's auto industry and around the world is the electrification trend. You guys have been on it for a while with the Leaf, and this year a few months ago you unveiled the strategy. But I was just wondering if you could kind of go over the main points again for the viewers at home.
Yeah. Well, first, as you know, we are the pioneers of electric cars because we were the first global maker saying we're going to produce and sell and mass market electric cars, globally. Obviously, Nissan had the Leaf and other electric cars. Renault has Zoe and other electric cars. Mitsubishi has its own electric car. And we have announced within our midterm plan that we're going to be bringing more than 12 new electric cars at the level of the line. So this is a strategy that we have decided long term ago. We were the first one. And we obviously are intensifying this strategy now that everybody coming to an evidence that we have seen a few years ago. China is certainly the market which is going to go after electrification much faster than any other market because the Chinese government obviously is supporting electrification. It's supporting the zero emission cars, which means that you're going to see electric cars not only in the premium, not only in the core market, but also in the entry-level market, and you're going to see also a lot of electric car in the light commercial vehicle market. I just want to remind you that light commercial vehicle is about 3 million cars sold every year in China, which obviously is small compared to the size of the market, talking about 27 million cars, and the 3 million out of 27 million. But 3 million cars a year, it's a market of the size of Germany. So it is still a very important market for us. So we are going to offer electric cars in the most important segment of the market in China, and this will come between Nissan, Renault, and Mitsubishi.
Mm-hmm. And how confident are you of success? Because the reason I ask that is because previously the China car market has been really competitive, and now, as you said, all these other players are all converging on electrification.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything that Nissan and Renault can do to set itself apart to
Well,
fight?
we set ourselves apart by saying, okay, we were the first one to engage, and obviously we have the largest experience and the deepest experience in all the electric cars technologies. We obviously want to continue to move ahead with different bodies and different segments in the market. We have a lot of knowledge on batteries, we have a lot of knowledge on motors, we have a lot of knowledge on all the elements that make an electric car much more competitive on the market. And we want to continue to benefit from this advantage. What I want to tell you is that we are investing massively in this technology. We think this technology will be one of the most important technology for the car industry, and China for us is going to be the main playground.
Mm-hmm. And are there any? I think there's a lot of these smaller Chinese electric car vehicle makers that are kind of popping up. Are there any worries about the how competition from these upstarts?
Well, the competition is taking place already because for these cars, entry-level cars made by relatively small Chinese automaker, they represent today the biggest part of the market. So competition is already here. And we are bringing, as you know, a very small electric car, which is going to be very affordable, that will be launched in 2019, which means next year, that's going to compete against this car. On top of bringing cars like the Leaf, which is a little bit the flagship in terms of electric cars of Nissan. We're going to be bringing many cars, but we're going to compete also against the existing competition. And I think about electric cars, the key element is not to limit yourself in one segment of the market. It is very important to have a product line covering all the needs of the market.
Okay. All right. The other big topic in the auto market, China and globally, is of course autonomous driving. Would you care to kind of outline your vision for what's...
Well, on autonomous car, you know that there is a lot of confusion about what is an autonomous car. A lot of people think autonomous car is a car without a driver, which is part of the answer, but not all of it. Autonomous cars are, technology you put in the car, allowing the car to take responsibility of driving from you whenever you want. Okay? So the initial and the most basic step of autonomy would be, I would say, autonomy on a highway. That's what we call the L1 level. We are today the biggest seller of cars with this feature globally. We have already sold more than 100,000 cars with this feature. So, but this is the basic level of autonomy. Then you have autonomy in the city, and then you have ultimate level, which is car without a driver, that we call the robotaxi. So you're going to see all this technology coming. We are engaged into it. We think, and I've seen the statements made by the Vice Prime Minister in China saying that they want to encourage a real experience taking place in China about autonomous cars and self-driverless cars. We think this is a very good signal that China wants to engage into this competition, want to create the conditions for autonomous cars to be driven safely in China, and we welcome this because, in fact, it means that in the auto industry, competition is first about technology. It's not only about price, it's not only about availability, it's also about technology, it's about robustness, it's about empowering the driver. How much, as a driver, you feel good about the brand when you decide when you want to drive and you decide when you want to be driven. A lot of things are happening, and I'm really very happy with all the statements made by the Vice Prime Minister saying we're going to engage also with autonomous cars.
Right, and yes, obviously China's trying to promote the advanced development of all the auto industry. But for me, as someone who grew up learning to drive by myself, I always find it's fun to drive and not have the machines take over. Do you think that how much is
You're going to be happier. I'm going to tell you why you're going to be happier. Because in a lot of the autonomous car, you drive when you want and you drive when you don't want. For example, if you've driven for a long distance and then you're tired, you will be able to rest now and let the car driving you. If you are in a traffic jam on a highway or in a city, you don't have to care about driving. You can just let the car drive for you. There are a lot of conditions, but even the most fanatic driver who would be very happy for the car to take over. On top of this, let's not forget the fact that there is a safety feature which is important. What's important about autonomous cars is you're going to put a lot of features in the car where the car take the control whenever there is danger. You know, if you're not seeing an obstacle and the cameras have detected the obstacle, no matter what you want, the car is going to stop. So there are a lot of things here that are going to make not only the car safer, but also much more pleasant for you. And you will decide you want to drive or you want to be driven.
Okay, right. Yeah, it sounds like fun. I can't wait. And also, finally, last question. Of course, about there's always been talk about Nissan and Renault merger. You know, will they? Won't they? Is there any latest developments on this front?
No, there is no latest development. I don't think today it is something which is on the table or being urgent because the line is going well. The three companies are doing well. They are progressing well. They are profitable. Technology is coming. The questions behind this is the sustainability of this model, the irreversibility of this model, independently of the people who are leading this organization. That's the main questions which is behind it. And in due time we will answer this, obviously with the total support and full acceptance by all the members of the lines between Nissan, Renault and Mitsubishi.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.